Wait, I'm talking to you, so don't walk away when I'm talking.
Well, I'm walking.
Okay.
You think you're in charge of me or something?
So what I'm doing right now, I'm going to ask for your driver's license, okay?
I haven't committed a crime.
Yes, you are. You're in enclosure violation right now.
Is it 8 o'clock yet?
It's about to be. I'll pull
We're
you.
not going to be out in time.
Let me see your driver's license.
What time is it?
I'm asking you. You're not going to identify yourself to me now.
Hey, what time is it?
Let me see your clock on your phone.
It's,
Because that's the
we're wasting time.
Okay,
Walk to her window.
Let me see your phone on.
I'm recording on my phone.
Okay, so
58. We're wasting the time. I'm trying to get out of here by 8.
No, I'm gonna write your ticket for not being out by 8.
It's not 8.
Being a dick. No, this one right here. Oh.
Well, now it's going to be after 8.
Well, it's 8 right now.
But
So when
why
I'm done,
such
I'm
the
trying to prove
ordeal?
a point here. Listen, it's 8 o'clock right now. I'm trying to
Right.
prove a point.
Okay.
I'm trying to prove a point.
What's your name?
Wallace.
Just so it's Wallace? All right.
Have a good day.
So most of you have seen the full video. If you haven't, there'll be links in the description and in a pinned comment. A lot of people had some questions and a lot of people looking for updates. So we're going to try to answer some of those questions and give you the updates so far in this video. Some people had questions who only saw the YouTube short and not the full video, and the full video would have answered some of those questions. But Jack Wallace is a U.S. park ranger, and this is in Florida at a park called Canaveral National Seashore. This spans between Brevard and Volusia County, Florida. And it's a really nice, most times pleasant, beach park. I'll show you some of the images from there as we talk through this. Anyone with a family that's taken their family to the beach knows it takes a little bit of time, a little bit of work to get everything and everybody cleaned up, ready to be packed up. A lot of people had the question, 8 o'clock, why is there a curfew? Why do you have to leave by 8? And that's because we're in an actual park with a gate and entrance fees and all that. It really is a beautiful park. And we've come here on weekends very often for many years, and we're well aware that the park closes at 8 o'clock. So when Wallace had first pulled in at 7:35 p.m., 25 minutes before closing, and he just had a bad attitude right off the bat. He said, hey, the park closes at 8. I just said, yeah, I know. 20 minutes. You're going to be out in 20 minutes? You better be out by 8. No idea why he had that bad attitude. I would have been nothing but cordial to him. As I've made very clear for a long time, I am in no way anti-law enforcement. I'm just anti-bad or tyrannical law enforcement. So I would have been completely cool with him. And I even still was completely cool with him. I had no interest to engage. Family was ready to go, and that's what we were trying to do. Some people said, why didn't you just leave the first time? You should have just left the first time when he said to leave. For one, I don't know, maybe you got here in a time machine from Germany decades ago, but I'm not the type that just complies with anything that anybody tells me just because they said so. You've got to stand up for yourself, and that can be done peacefully. But also, we're at a park where we have paid to be. We're grown adults, and we time our trip, so we have plenty of time to take the time that it takes to clean everything and everybody off and get everything packed up. And we were well within that time. Fully acceptable and expected to be able to use that time peacefully to do what you got to do and be out by closing, as we were. So at 7:56 p.m., he comes back. And here's where a couple of people were like, why did it take you so long? You should have left. You shouldn't have stayed there another 20 minutes. Again, I won't repeat myself what I just said a minute ago, but those of you with big families, you already know that 20 minutes was actually pretty quick. You know that. But alas, at 7:56 he returns, going on about, you said you'd be out by 8. And I said, yeah, we still will be out by 8. And he says, no, you're not. It's 8 o'clock now. I need your ID. I'm going to write you a ticket for closure violation. So he's saying 8 o'clock by estimation of time, not actual time. And you can't really write someone a ticket at 7:56 because they're not out by 8. And it would be kind of dirty to hold them up until 8 so you could write them the ticket. It's literally the same as getting pulled over for going 35 miles an hour in a 35 mile an hour zone, and the cop writes you a ticket for going 40. The ticket he wrote you just didn't happen. But I don't have to explain that to you. Logical people get it. So as you saw in the original video, that goes on for a minute, going back and forth about him saying it's almost 8, and me saying if you leave me alone we'd be out by 8. And we're roughly like 2 minutes from the exit of the park. So we start to drive out. He's, of course, following. Having already wasted the time that I could have used exiting the park, I would have been out already. Just before 8 o'clock, he pulls us over. And as you heard him say, and he said it 3 times, he pulled me over just to prove a point. One of the points that I got from his point making was that he feels he can stop you before there's any violation and hold you up until there is a violation. But he said he was just giving me a warning. His main point was just to make the point, like he said. And the warning was for not being out by 8 before it was 8, I suppose. Now, I tried to contact someone, a supervisor with the U.S. Park Rangers in this location or around this location, and it's not as easy as it may seem. They do have an office within the park, and it looks like nobody's in it, and you never see more than one park ranger vehicle in the park, at least these days. And you can't get up to the building to try the door or knock or whatever, because there's signs well before you can get to the building that says authorized personnel only. It doesn't say vehicle, it says personnel. So you can't go onto that property. But there is a phone number to that office that you can call. And when you call that number, this is what happens.
You've reached Canaveral National Seashore. Currently, the phones at our headquarters location are not being monitored. If you have questions about the park, seek information, please call the Apollo Beach Visitor Center at 386-428-3384.
So that recording kind of confirms to us that there's nobody inside the ranger office there to hear the phones ring, but they at least direct us to another phone number for the visitor center, which that building is actually right next door to the ranger office building. And you call that number and you get this. And I could just let that static play for as long as you're willing to listen to it, but I won't. That one will either ring once and go to static, or it will just ring endlessly. And both of those numbers I had tried daily for over 2 weeks. Never got a different result. Went back to the park, and I asked the person at the entrance booth, who said pretty much that I'm not going to have an easy time trying to contact somebody. And they gave me a little pamphlet with the only known contact number, which is the one with the recording saying nobody's there to answer the phones. I searched around, I sent a couple of emails to some email addresses I had found and got no response. Finally, I contacted a number on a park services website who gave me a phone number for Scott Larson. Scott Larson, based in Georgia, is a regional U.S. Park Ranger chief for the Southeast region. I had no idea how their structure works, and I have no idea how many supervisors may or may not be between Jack Wallace and Scott Larson, but Scott Larson would oversee Jack Wallace. I spoke with him on the phone, so I can only speak of a phone conversation that we had, but he was very cordial, he was helpful, and he seemed genuine. So I explained to him the incident, and after hearing the details, Larson suggested that I file a formal complaint. And that process is obviously much different. A police department or something like that, you can go to the office, you can get a form, you can talk to a supervisor, whatever it is. But Scott Larson provided me with the email address that all complaints should be sent to. This is the email address on the screen. And incidents like this with Wallace, I think they're important to address. He seemed very comfortable doing the things that he was doing, which would make me think that this might be routine for him. And things can't get fixed if nobody ever says anything. But at the same time, we also know, the park rangers, I don't know how this works, but often with law enforcement agencies, we've seen it time and time again. We investigated ourselves, and we found no wrongdoing. Now, Scott Larson, he did assure me that they take this very seriously. This is what he said. He said they look into all these complaints because they very much want to identify and correct any problems that may be happening. So I sent an email to that email address detailing, in really good detail, the entire incident of that day. It was a long email, and of the incident itself, I gave all the details. But out of curiosity how seriously it would be taken, I did leave out one key thing, the date of the incident. I let them know that most of the incident is on video, which they're probably already aware. And I closed the email by saying, if any further information is needed, please let me know. Because surely they'll want at least that date, right? So I typed up the long email and I sent it, but I didn't get any response. So at the start of the following week, I forwarded the same email to the same email address and just asked for confirmation that it was at least received. And the following day, finally I got this response. You can get into the comments, let me know what you get from this. What's your opinion of this? This email that's, to me, basically saying, we'll let you know if we think it's worth looking into. You may be contact if we want to let you know, but maybe not. I don't get from that response that they're taking it very seriously. Now, sit down. I hope you're sitting. This is going to be hard to believe, but there are some in law enforcement, even some leadership in law enforcement, that thinks you have no place making any kind of complaints or even observations on law enforcement. And you're a bad person if you do it. And we see that a lot in local law enforcement agencies. Now, this is a whole different thing. I don't know how it works, like I said. But speaking with Scott Larson, he at least seemed very genuine, that they take this stuff very seriously. They look into everything. They very much want to identify any issues might be going on so they can properly address it. But in actually sending the email, I had to reach out and again ask them, hey, did you even get it? And basically like, yeah, we got it. Yeah, we'll let you know, or not. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, but it just doesn't seem like they took it very seriously. But if you notice, they did not ask for the date. Another thing that gave me the indication or the feeling that maybe they didn't even read it. Now, it's likely they're already aware of the video, and maybe they already figured out the date. But if not, I mean, this could have been 2 years ago, could have been 2 days ago, 2 months ago, 2 weeks ago. It seems like a key thing, but we'll see. But they got full and accurate details of the incident that matches the video. And some key points here: this guy's actions scared little kids. And any law enforcement officer at any time can make a first impression on a young child. And young kids are very impressionable. So if you make that first impression negative, that's what kids are going to remember. Not just from you, but from cops in general in their mind. Without fail, there will be a person or two that'll be like, you're the parent, you did that to the kids. You should have just complied with everything that he said. No. It's also very, very important that we teach our children to stand up for themselves and for others. We treat people respectfully, but we don't allow ourselves to be walked on, no matter who that person may be who's trying to do the walking. Even one of the kids said, why does he keep saying it's 8 o'clock when it's not even 8 o'clock? Yeah, well, sometimes kids are just smarter. The email detailed that not only did he make a negative impression on young kids, but after he pulled me over, just to prove a point, and to give me a warning because he kept me there after closing, he decided to follow me all the way out of the park, following the car that he knows is full of little boys and little girls, tailgating dangerously close, at a car length or less behind the vehicle, and on a road where wildlife frequently comes out into the road, and there's warning signs everywhere. So at any time a vehicle might make a quick stop, but his ego won't let him back off. I guess maybe another point that he's making. But that's where we stand so far. They've got phones that aren't monitored, direct you to another number that doesn't work. It wasn't very easy to find the supervisor who's in another state, who again was friendly and seemed helpful. But then we sent an email, which wasn't acknowledged until we asked for acknowledgement, and then you saw the response that we got. So you can share your thoughts of what you think of all of this, and if you think they're actually looking into it, if you think that email indicates that they care, or if they're taking it seriously, or even if they read the damn email. I kind of get the impression they did not. And I will definitely update you with any developments. And for those of you who do decide to reach out and contact this agency or any agency to redress your grievances or share your thoughts or concerns, I support and encourage that right. But as always, I don't condone violence or threats of violence. And 10,000 people can leave messages, emails, or phone calls being very cordial while expressing very genuine and valid concerns. They may be stern, they may be matter of fact, but cordial. And out of those 10,000, one person may make threats or indirect things and just things like that. We've seen it before that agencies will pull that one example to show everybody, to use as the example to people who don't know any better, of the general community of people that they like to call auditors, which they'll put that label on anybody who records police interactions, as everybody should, just like they do, so why wouldn't we? Or knows and stands up for their rights, or seeks government accountability and transparency. They'll use that one example because they want to mislead people and direct them toward the narrative that they want, that we the people are bad people, aggressive people. They know it's not true, but that doesn't matter. Kind of like when a storm comes through a coastal state. The media hypes it up, but then it doesn't do much damage. And that news crew drives around looking for a branch in the road. And they set their cameras up right there in front of that branch in the road when they do find it. It's more dramatic that way. Share your thoughts. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notifications if you haven't already. Check out some other videos, links, and playlists. And stay tuned. There's more to come on this and much more.